a little bit of info.
Good. Good evening and welcome. We're glad to have you all here this evening for our last meeting of March here in 2022. We are in the middle of budget season. We have a lot of things going on. We're going to talk about some special meetings coming up. But before we begin the meeting proper, we'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll ask Gary Harris to come forward and lead us in the pledge.
Present arms.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. And if you will please join us in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you all very much. Council members, you have the minutes from March 14th. Have you all had a chance to look at those?
Yes, sir.
Are there any changes, or do we have a motion to approve as submitted?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I will address our absence of our vice mayor. Naomi is a little under the weather this evening, but she sends us her regards and will be back with us hopefully by Wednesday when we have our budget presentation at 5:30 on Wednesday afternoon. At this time, we would like to open the floor for citizen comments. If you'll come down and use the podium, be sure to speak into the microphone. State your name for the public record, and if you'll limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, we will go on and open the floor now. Come on down, you're first up.
Good evening, council. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
You know, this is my second time I've come before you all and spoke. I did a couple of years ago. Now, most of you all was here. My brother here is new. He wasn't present. Last time I was here, I came in a critical attitude. But tonight, I would like to come and say to commend you all and to compliment you all on several things. I believe when we disagree, we should stand up and say something. But also, when we agree, we should let you all know that too. So that's why I decided to come tonight. Over the past couple of years, I've noticed there's been some great things going on in the city of Radford, which has brought unity to the people of Radford. Several things I have attended. I'd like to say thank you all. I know you have the final approval of whether it happens or whether it doesn't. I know other organizations probably is more into the planning, but you all make the final decision. A couple of things I'd like to bring forward that I've been at. I recognized is, first of all, a museum across the street. I know last summer we had the Motown singing group. We also had the craft fair. I stopped and attended both, and especially the Motown group that we had. It was wonderful seeing that yard full of people, the parking lot full of cars. And as I went in, I seen the people of Radford greeting each other, smiles on their faces, hugs, handshakes. And I think that is what Radford needs a lot more of. It brought Radford together. They put some of the troubles behind them. We forgot about some of the things going on, and it just brought a closeness to the city. So I thank you all for doing that with the craft fair and Motown. Also, I know we've had Christmas parades usually. Because of COVID, we didn't. Last year, we got back to having our annual Christmas parade. I think personally, it was one of the best ones we've had. Also, some of the people I talked to afterwards also commented on it. Man, that parade is really better than what we've seen. So I thank you all again for approving us for having that. Also, One idea I'd like to state that I really appreciate as I drive down West Main Street, since I live on West Main Street a lot, is your little park that you have made across from Brick House Pizza. When it was going up, I thought, man, that's another one of their crazy ideas. But, you know, as I drive by now, I see a lot of things, especially in spring and summer. The tables are full. You see families out laughing and talking. Someone brings their animals. You see young people sitting out doing their homework. You can see older people turning out. You have some music groups there sometimes. Or you have little groups that meet at the picnic table. Most of the time during that season, the tables are full of people. So that wasn't a crazy idea. So I'm sorry for me having that attitude when it happened. But thank you all for approving that. Also for the things that's been going on at the park every year, such as the Memorial Day celebration, the July 4th celebration, the Native American celebration, the food truck things. I know the other groups are into planning those, but you all have the final approval whether they happen or they don't. As I've been down to that, I've seen a park full of people at every one of them. You can see the smiles and the warmth of people greeting people and all that. And that's what our city is really all about. Amen?
You can finish your thought and then you can wrap it up.
But first of all, I also want to say thank you for probably things that I thought was crazy and first thing. Some things were, and some things I still don't agree with. But as a whole, I think you're doing most of the things for the unity and citizens of Radford. And these days and times when things are so bad and everything, I think that's what we need. So, you know, I just ask that you do more of those, and I thank you for the things that you have done. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, we will respond here in just a moment. We want to keep the floor open for anyone else that has a comment they'd like to make. Well, seeing none, we will close that portion of the meeting. And council members, I'll just start by saying thank you for the kind comments. We appreciate it. I do have to deflect a little bit to all the people who have made all those things happen. You're mighty nice to say that here to us. But staff and volunteers and members of the community who've come together have really made all those wonderful things a reality. And we're fortunate enough to get to work with all those folks to help make those things happen for the city. But thank you. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say?
Just to kind of mirror your comments, I think we're all going to say close to the same thing. We really do appreciate that because, quite honestly, you know, we normally see people when they're frustrated with something we may or may not do. So it's really nice. We do put in a lot of time and effort and thought and consideration that goes on that you guys will never see that, you know, we do on our own time or in calls with one another. So I really do appreciate you taking the opportunity to come and tell us when you notice things are going right. So thank you so much. It means a lot.
I just want to say Bill is a man about town, and when he talks about things, we listen because he's around all the time, all over the place, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard to go last after all that, but yes, thank you so much for coming out. And yeah, I would echo just certainly extending that gratitude far beyond us to the people who are on the ground making it happen to an even greater degree.
Thank you. Okay, we do need to move on. We have some wonderful things happening here in the month of April coming up, lots of proclamations. I'm going to begin by talking a little bit of Environmental Awareness Month, and we have several proclamations celebrating that. April is a time when our world is starting to come back to life. We're seeing a little bit of it today, although I hope everything doesn't blow away with the wind that's going on. But it's nice to see the flowers and trees bloom and the trees come back to health and people being able to get outside again. During some of the warm weather, I've had the opportunity to be on the Riverway, and boy, it has been jam-packed. People have just really been enjoying our outdoor spaces. The environment for Radford is an incredibly important part of our identity and who we are, and of course, obviously, we want to make sure the environment stays in good shape. So we have three things we want to talk about during this particular section, and we're going to come back during new business and talk about a way that you can help clean up a little bit. First, I have a proclamation for Environmental Awareness Month. Whereas various organizations and citizens show concern for the Earth's environment, and whereas the problems of the Earth's environment affect all the citizens of Radford, as well as the entire population of the planet, and whereas the City of Radford encourages Radford citizens to participate in global appreciation of the Earth through educational programs, special projects, demonstrations, cultural events, lectures, cleanup activities, etc. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Radford does hereby designate the month of April 2022 as Environmental Awareness Month and calls all citizens of Radford to support, recognize, and appreciate the importance of participating in this special month. I'd also like to add 2 additional proclamations to that. Earth Day is celebrated during the month of April. Whereas April 22nd, 2022 is recognized as National Earth Day, and whereas a sound natural environment is the foundation of a healthy society and a robust economy, and whereas there are sound economic, environmental, and social reasons for local governments to initiate energy efficiency and renewable energy practices, and whereas the City of Radford encourages and endorses participation in events supporting Earth Day, now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Radford does hereby proclaim the day of April 22nd, 2022 as Earth Day, and does hereby encourage all of our citizens to participate in the ongoing efforts to recycle, reduce, and reuse, as well as other activities which promote a healthy environment and sustainable society. And then one that is near and dear to my heart, not that the others aren't, but Arbor Day for 2022. Whereas in 1872, a special day was set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees, and whereas 2022 is the 150th anniversary of the holiday, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the City of Radford established the Commission for Beautification and Municipal Forests to enhance and maintain the health and vitality of the community's urban landscape. Whereas the City of Radford's commitment to the preservation and propagation of trees within the community has been demonstrated over many years and recognized by the National Arbor Day Foundation through the designation of Radford as a Tree City USA community once again this year, the 7th anniversary of our initial designation. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Radford does hereby proclaim April the 29th, 2022 as the 150th anniversary celebration of Arbor Day in the City of Radford, and joins with the Radford Commission for Beautification and Municipal Forests to urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and further urges all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Council members, I'd like to make a motion that we enter all 3 of those proclamations into effect. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second for Environmental Awareness Month, Earth Day, and Arbor Day. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. It is an exciting month, and I think we're going to see a lot of activities. We'll share those with you as they come up. One of the things you can do is look to plant trees, look to do things around your own home, and take advantage of these opportunities. We also have National Library Week coming up here in the month of April. Whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that foster a sense of connection and build community, and whereas libraries connect people to technology, providing access to broadband internet, computers, and training that are critical for accessing education and employment opportunities, whereas libraries offer opportunities for everyone to connect with new ideas and become their best selves through access to multimedia content, programs, and classes, in addition to books. Whereas today's libraries and their services extend far beyond the 4 walls of a building, and everyone is welcome to use their resources. Whereas in times of crisis, libraries and library professionals play an invaluable role in supporting their communities, both in person and virtually. Whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are as diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equity of access for all. Whereas to adapt to our changing world, libraries are expanding their resources and continuing to meet the needs of their patrons. Whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. Whereas libraries are cornerstones of democracy, promoting the free exchange of information and ideas for all. Whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Radford City Council that April 3rd through the 9th, 2022, be National Library Week in Radford, and all residents are encouraged to connect with the Radford Public Library by visiting online or in person to access resources and services. I'd like to place this motion into nomination. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next week, in addition to being National Library Week, will also be our Radford Reads Week here in the city of Radford. I'm going to tell you more about that in my comments coming up. But at this time, I'm going to turn to Councilmember Height to ask him to share a proclamation for National Telecommunications Week.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the City of Radford Emergency Communications Center, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety, and whereas public safety telecommunicators of the City of Radford have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients, and whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in this past year, now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Radford declares the week April 10 through 16, 2022, to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Radford, in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we have our chiefs here. I'm going to ask that both of them come down, if you don't mind, and Forrest, if you'll present them with their proclamation, and we'll just stand behind them. How about that? You absolutely have to smile.
Do I have to smile?
Absolutely. All right. That's okay. We're working here. We've got working clothes on at times. We also have National Animal Control Officers Appreciation Week coming up, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Foster to read a proclamation regarding that.
City of Radford Proclamation, Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week. Whereas the National Animal Care and Control Association is committed to setting the standard of professionalism in animal welfare and public safety through training, networking, and advocacy. And whereas it has been designated the second week of April each year as Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week. And whereas animal control officers dedicate their lives to the health and safety of at-risk, helpless animals and to the protection of the citizens in the community. Whereas animal control officers respond to calls for service to protect the welfare of helpless animals and pets and rescue them from injury, disease, abuse, and starvation. And whereas animal control officers provide essential community functions, including the enforcement of animal control laws, protecting the public from diseases such as rabies, and educating the public on the proper care of the community's pets. And whereas federal, state, and local government officials throughout the country take this time of the year to recognize, thank, and commend all animal control officers for the dedicated service they provide to the citizens of the Commonwealth. And whereas The Commonwealth of Virginia recognizes and commends animal control officers for the many dedicated and long hours of service they perform in serving Virginia and for fulfilling the commitment to providing the highest and most efficient level of customer service. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Radford City Council that the week of April 10th through the 16th, 2022, be recognized as Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week in Radford. And be it further proclaimed that the Radford City Council extends its gratitude and appreciation to Radford's animal control officers for their continued dedication and professional assistance to the citizens of the city of Radford. Woo. All right.
Do you have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept this proclamation.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Adele, come on down, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Foster to go on down with you there, and we'll get a picture. Forrest, come on and join us. We'll just stand up here.
Hello again. We're going to have to get you doodled on it. I put acronym.
And I like how Mrs. Foster's attired in animal
Of
gear
course.
to
I love
celebrate
it.
the week.
Got dressed for the occasion, right?
And I just have to say, as much as we appreciate everybody who works for the city, Adele, you and your team, we're so thankful for you all the time. I know you're kind of a team of one a lot of times, but we're... And that, I haven't met her yet. We need to meet her. But thank you. A lot of what you do is not appreciated as much as it should be, and we just want you to know how much the community appreciates you.
We appreciate
And we want to say thank you. And the same extended to our telecommunications team. I mean, my goodness, all the calls they've had to handle during the last couple of years especially, but just on a regular basis, they keep us moving, they keep us together, and they keep us safe. So we're very thankful for that. Dr. Harshberger has a proclamation dealing with something that we want to promote so that it doesn't happen. So Distracted Driving Awareness Month. So Dr. Harshberger?
Proclamation, City of Radford Proclamation, Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Whereas more than 700 injury crashes involve distracted driving on an average day, and the economic toll of all motor vehicle crashes in the U.S. annually exceeds $400 billion. And whereas talking on a mobile phone, even in a hands-free mode, texting, programming your dashboard infotainment system or GPS device can divert your attention away from driving and result in physical or cognitive distraction. And whereas Radford residents and all Americans deserve to live in communities that promote safe driving behavior and healthy lifestyles. And whereas preventing distracting driving injuries and deaths requires the cooperation of all levels of government, employers, and the general public. And whereas the National Safety Council and Radford City Police Department work to promote policies, practices, and procedures leading to increased safety, protection, and health in business and industry, in schools and colleges, on roads and highways, and in towns and communities. And whereas the National Safety Council in 2022 will provide this nation with a month-long distracted driving public education campaign. And whereas spring is a time when people begin to log more miles on the road, and it is imperative to focus attention on motor vehicle injury risks and preventions. Now, therefore, the Radford City Council of Radford, Virginia, does hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 as Distracted Driving Awareness Month and strongly urges the citizens and businesses of Radford to observe Distracted Driving Awareness Month by practicing safe driving behaviors and pledging to drive distraction-free. Mayor Horton, I would like to move that this be placed on the agenda for,
You want to move for us to adopt it, right?
for adopt.
There we go. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, and folks, we hope that this is something that folks keep in mind so that they are safe, that they're taken care of, and everybody else on the roads is taken care of. That handles our proclamations. We don't have any old business we're going to address tonight. We do have new business, and the first order of new business really follows with Environmental Awareness Month. We do have our drop center, which is located out on Park Road at the site of the old incinerator, and that is heavily used by people year-round. It has its regular hours. But during the month of April, we know some folks do additional cleanup. They remove brush. They get rid of things. And a lot of times you don't have any way to get that out of your property, out of your house. So we provide the opportunity for special pickups. These can happen any time, but during the month of April, we drop that cost. So we are going to reduce the rate for large loads to $45 and small loads to $22.50. Furniture and appliances will be half the price for the month of April. If you need to take care of those things, you contact our sanitation department, and they will help make arrangements to take care of that and then bill you for that. Oh, sorry. Utility billing, sorry. Utility billing, not the sanitation department. I was going straight to the source, but billing's going to take care of that. All right. All right. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the special rates for the month of April. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next on our agenda, we do have a new ambulance that we are going to have the opportunity to purchase. Boy, our equipment has been used heavily during COVID, and of course it runs out after so much time regardless, but we've had extra use, extra cleaning, and so much going on during the last 2 years. A new ambulance is planned. It will be procured through Goodman Specialized Vehicles, LLC, through the state contract, and the cost is $344,498, which includes the cab and chassis and the necessary medical equipment. The build is actually going to still be 1.5 to 2 years away, so we'll go on and take care of this now, but it'll be sometime in 2023 or 2024 to be taken care of. So, council members, we need to do two things. We need to have a motion to authorize the procedure with the contract, and then we will need to appropriate the money. So first and foremost, I will entertain a motion to authorize the contract to move forward.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? David, do you have anything you want to add in on that contract?
No, we've had the experience with them before, got a great relationship. Rodney and his team have been working on the build now for a number of months, so we're anxious to get this one in. This will have all the modern equipment.
Outstanding. Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we need to pay for it. So appropriation ordinance 1749.44 in the amount of $344,498 is on the agenda. The American Rescue Plan Act funds are able to be used for this, so we're going to use that money from our designation, which is just about $8 million that comes to us. Council members, do we have a motion for approval of appropriation ordinance 1749.44?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we may dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, exciting news, not that this other isn't exciting, but one of our really signature properties on West Main Street has requested, the folks that own it have requested a special use permit. 644 West Main Street, it's zoned B2 General Business District, and we are actually looking at potentially having some upper floor residential use. So we're looking at a special use permit for that. Melissa, do you want to share anything about that?
So yeah, as you stated, within the B2 district, it's not a by right use at this point in time. The owner is looking at, which would have been a by right, he's allowed to have an owner's suite within that. He's going to be on the 3rd floor. He's going to start that renovation and then begin moving forward approved it, so we would just renovate the second floor and then the third floor for business.
Sounds good.
With adequate parking behind.
So for folks that are wondering, where is 644 West Main Street? What building are we talking about? It is across the street. It is the building that looks like a castle right behind the courthouse building. And so that building has been challenged for a few years. There have been several businesses in and out of there. I think the plan is to have offices or retail on the main level on Main Street, but then to have residential on the 2 floors above that. And this renovation will improve the outside looks of the facility if we move forward with it. So as such, we need to do 2 things. We need to have a public hearing, which can be held on April the 25th if we so desire, and we can have a joint meeting with the Planning Commission to do that. Do we have a motion for our public hearing?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
And I fibbed. We only had one thing we had to do, and that was schedule our public hearing. It's a joint meeting. Yep. So we're in good shape. That's really exciting news, and I'm going to pontificate for just a second. This is how we move our community forward. The city certainly does things to improve the roads, the parks, the public spaces, but we need our private investors to step up and to make use of the properties that we have. And not only is this happening throughout the Central Business District and West Main, this is something that's going on the East Main Business District, and we just want to say a thank you to everybody who's willing to step up and do those things. Up next, we have a wonderful presentation and discussion about our animal shelter. We talked a little earlier about Adele and her team for animal care and control. And it takes a village to make this happen. And so, Adele, I'm going to ask you to come up to the podium and please present your PowerPoint here, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do. And go on and pull the mic up so we can be sure to hear you.
Well, you know the sound of my voice, I'm sure. So I did this little presentation, otherwise I'd be speaking till 10 o'clock tonight and you'd be saying no. So this is to keep me on track. So as you know, there's been talk of a shelter and then no shelter. We've kind of been stagnant with animal control, and I've took the advantage of the Betty White donation day, because that lovely lady passed away, to try and get some public support to improve our cat adoption room. It's pretty depressing in there. It's been the same since I've been there. And I'll take you through this presentation and you can see what we have and what we would like. And try not to mess this up. So for the past 11 years, as lead ACO and head of the animal shelter, we have met the minimum standard of care the state has set for our facility. Our cats, unfortunately, have lived in 2-foot-2 cages, 2-by-2-foot cages, with shelves to lie on, and they were an addition after a couple of years of me being there. We have budgeted for the last several years to save money in hopes of a new shelter. Until that time comes, we are going to do our best to make the best of the facility that we have now. By introducing these new cat condos and renovations, we will be improving the animals' quality of life, and then once we do obtain a new facility, all of the upgrades that we imply now can be transferred to the new shelter, so it's not going to be wasted revenue down the road. Thanks to the Betty White fundraiser, we raised over $8,000 from our generous community, and adding that to our other funds, we'll be able to raise the standard of living for these animals. We strive to give them the best care we can and go above and beyond minimum standards. So, this is it. This is what we have right now. I've had people coming out of that room crying, and it used to kind of irritate me, but I can see why. It's pretty dire. My thing was, they're alive, better than being dead. But is it? When you get a cat that you adopt that's been in a 2-foot-by-2-foot cage that does not have the muscle to be able to jump from a floor to a couch, you question your choices. I mean, obviously those muscles built up after a period of time and it was able to get on the couch, but when you're reported that by adopters, it really makes you sit down and question, what it is that you're doing. So as you can see, their litter trays, their food is pretty much in that 2-foot square area. And those little beds at least get them up off that floor area. And they were made by Dr. Annie Pierce, actually. We did a fundraiser, and they've worked really, really well. But we can do better. So the pros of what we have currently are they do meet current standards. The cons, they're metal, therefore they're very, very noisy. So if you've got cats in there that are jittery, not quite, happy with being in a cage, it can create more problems for them and make them less adoptable. They're small and cramped. As I just said, there's not really any opportunity for exercise. They're open front, so the cages, if an animal sneezes in there, it aerosols into the room and it's very quickly spread to other animals. It's hard to clean for staff and volunteers. I'm a bit OCD. I'll get in there with a toothbrush if I want to, but not everybody's that way. So you can get build-up on those cage fronts and move another cat in there. You're passing on yet another disease if there was a disease or illness in the cage prior. And there's no separation for their food and toilet area. This is what we'd like. So these are mason cat towers. The bottom bit, which is filled in, that's the toilet area. It's private. No one sees it. The cat can go down there and privately use the bathroom. When people come in, they don't see that. There's not litter and paper and stuff being thrown all over the room because there's no way it can come out of there. There are 5 levels for them to play on, therefore build muscle, grow appropriately. Our cats stay small. They're kind of like goldfish. They say a goldfish only grows to its environment. I think we get that with our cats. They stay small and then they get adopted and then they kind of have this big, massive growth spurt and go from like 3 pounds to 20 pounds in like 6 months' time. So those small cages are actually stinting their growth too. This is what it looks like inside. So you can see it's very easy to clean. It's very self-contained. The airflow comes through the top. You can see that grid. So there's no way a sneeze or a disease or some eye goop or snot or anything else can get to another animal. It's all self-contained in that accommodation. So they are perfect for showcase and adoptable cats. They will give up to 20 square feet. It may be more. I couldn't find any particular schematics with regards to them because they build them to fit the space that you have. They have 5 levels, so that's ample room for them to climb and play. They have designated areas for their food, water, and for them to go to the toilet. And there will be no more eating where you poop. With the ample space, it allows the cats to exercise, build muscle, and grow appropriately, which is what we would love to see. We would like to add some furniture to create an atmosphere. I want people to come in our adoption room and leave smiling, not crying. So I like the blue fronts, found these little faux leather chairs, nice colour pop. People can sit there, they can visit with the animals on one-on-one rather than, poking a finger through a cage. We can let the cat out. They can interact with the person. Because you don't pick your cat picks you. I don't know anyone who's ever been to the shelter and picked out a cat. You come in with a particular animal in mind and you leave with totally not what you thought you were getting because it kind of picked you. These faux leather chairs, I think it was $187 for the chair and the ottoman. We could have 2 separate areas because the room's kind of divided in itself. They can be easily sanitized. They're not going to get torn up by the cats because the cats aren't going to be in that area free running there once they've been introduced to adopters, and they'll get put back into the caging. This is our panther house. The cats love it in there, but we can only fit so many cats in there, and we can't turn the whole place into an open facility, so this is the next best thing. So these updates have been inspired by the Betty White donation drive, Our community has donated over $8,000 towards the cause, and I think they are excited to see the change too. We at Animal Control are always striving to provide the best care and accommodations possible for the animals in our care, and we appreciate your time and consideration for this project.
Thank you.
How many cats do you have now, Adele?
Currently, we have 24. We had a little bit of a drive. It's kind of like the lull before the storm. We've already got 2 lots of pregnant mom. Wow, they aren't even pregnant anymore. They already gave birth. So we had 16 cats in 2 days.
Wow.
But they went straight out to foster, but they will eventually be coming back in. So we can go up to 70 cats, which is usually our max with the cages and the systems that we have now. Those towers are going to be able to accommodate, a mom with 4 to 6 babies easily. So that's one accommodation rather than, 3 to 5 accommodations that are going to be taken up. So that will open up our capability to accept more animals into the shelter as well.
Great.
Are we doing a better job at a community of not having so many animals that need that support? I mean, I know there's always a constant need, but what can we do more of as a community so that there's not as much pressure on you?
We just need to be responsible pet owners and spay neuter.
What's that?
Be
Spay and
responsible and spay neuter. Don't let your animal outside
Yeah.
if it's not spay neutered. Nature is nature. It will take its course naturally. If you are no longer able to care for an animal, then make provision for it, proper provision, not just open your door and give it the boot and hope it doesn't come back. I've been here for 11 years. We've done TNR, we've done low-cost spay neuters. It's not, honestly, getting any better. I bang my head up the wall with regards to the cats and the populations here in Radford. I can go to an area, I can completely clear it out. We took 65 cats out of someone's backyard.
Huh.
And I can guarantee you there's still another 65 if I went back there tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's something we can work on as a public relations piece to try to get more information out there, because I think this is amazing. And thank you to all the citizens who've participated. I think getting to the heart of the matter is really important for our community too. And this puts a Band-Aid on all those things for a little while and gets us to a little bit better place. But ultimately, we've got to get better so that the demand isn't so strong on you.
Yeah, I mean, this provides what the animals need and also what our potential adopters need too. They need to come in there and feel happy to be there, not feel depressed when they leave, because it's kind of depressing for us when they're depressed, because it makes us feel that they think we're not doing the best job that we could do.
Well, I love it. I want to know when I need to come down and paint.
Tomorrow?
Sounds good.
All right, sounds good to
Any
me.
other questions, council members?
How many towers will this cover?
Their towers, I haven't got a final price on. I've sent the drawings. Jay came and measured it all proper, because if I'd measured it, then Lord knows what we'd have ended up with. But and I reached out to him to see if I had some kind of figure to bring to you tonight. So ballpark is $1,800 per unit.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. We plan to use both sides and then kind of have the one wall open so as we can fit in the seating areas. So I'm kind of hoping that we can get 20 or maybe more of those units in. But once I get the final drawing back, then I'm very happy to share that.
How much room do you have to expand if you get more of those units?
We haven't really got any room left in every available space that we can put in the adoption room has been kind of penciled in there. But the thing is if we do ever get another shelter, and I know we will one day, so not if we will, when we get a new shelter, those can be moved, and then, we can add on to those and modify to fit the space for the new shelter too. It shouldn't be that difficult at all.
But this is the maximum for right now.
For right now, yeah. Unless we can put some in your front room, what do you think?
So is this in the room, when I come to visit last month, that you were arranging or rearranging? Is that where they're going? Not, is it where the cats currently are from the
Yeah,
picture?
so as you come in, the room to the right there.
Okay.
So that's the adoption room. So all the cages that are in the adoption room will then go into intake. which is the room in the back.
Okay,
So those are perfect for short term. So we don't put cats immediately into adoption. We put them in intake, treat them, for internal, external parasites, give them vaccinations. If they're a little bit spicy, we try and calm them down a little bit, and before we move them onto adoption. And depending on the flow in adoption, pretty much dictates the time spent in intake. But with our new vaccine program and the intake, occurrence of diseases like upper respiratory have come down considerably. I mean, we can't rule it out altogether, but our kittens' survival is a lot higher. Our incident for veterinary is coming down too. So I know this is going to help even more. Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
For all that you do, and thank you for bringing this to us this evening. Council members, we do have a request, and the total amount of the request is actually $42,730 for the renovations, the cat condos, all of those pieces. $15,000 of that comes from the donations to the animal shelter, including the $8,000 that were donated just this past year in honor of Betty White Day on her what would have been her 100th birthday, and then $26,930 from animal control restitution. So that's where we are. Do we have a motion to approve appropriation ordinance 1749.45 in the amount of $42,730?
So moved.
I have a discrepancy here. It is 42,730 or is it 43,730?
42.
I have two different numbers.
Yep.
Let's go for 50. We're that close. Come on.
42,730.
That's what's on my appropriation sheet. I just want to make sure. So we have a motion to adopt appropriation ordinance 1749.45 in the amount of $42,730. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I heard 4 affirmative votes, so we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A
second.
motion and a second. Any discussion on dispensing with the second reading of appropriation ordinance 1749.45? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I just want to add one little addendum onto this, and Adele has alluded to this a little bit. We are working very hard to try to figure out the right space and the right type of facility for a new shelter. It's more complicated than you can imagine. It's not something we can put in a neighborhood because dogs and cats and critters make noise, and it can be challenging to have that where people are living without the right buffer around it. We still want it to be accessible. We want it to be a modern, well-equipped facility. And trying to figure all that out, we're trying to find the best location. Our hope is maybe that someone that has some private property would want to partner with us and maybe build something that we can lease or something we can do a public-private partnership on. We haven't found the right solution yet, but we're looking for it. And it is something that's our commitment to animal control, to the citizens, to try to make that happen. But it has to be the right location, the right facility, and all the timing has to come together. So thank you for this. That will get us through some of the challenges we face at our current location, and we haven't forgotten at all about the other space, and we're going to keep working on that. I know. Well, trust me, we're not going to forget, for sure. David, what do you have this evening?
Lots of things going on. A couple of things I'll call your attention to. Certainly budget is the biggest thing right now, trying to get that finished up. We've got a budget presentation to you all on Wednesday with a follow-up work session on Monday. Nothing for you quite yet. Hopefully I will balance and we will be ready to go on Wednesday. So we'll see how it goes. Getting close. Also, University Drive Bridge, well underway now. They're out towards the middle section of it. Use caution down in that area. All's going well with that part. In keeping with Environmental Awareness Month, a couple of things coming up. Street sweeper repairs are just about done on that. You should see that out. We'll be sweeping up all the gravels and things from the winter months and getting parking lots cleaned up and that kind of thing. Hope to have that out by the end of the week. I asked Jenny if she would briefly give you an update on Adopt a Spot. We are planning a big launch for that, relaunch of that in the month of April.
Okay, so I have been working Adopt a Spot, you know, with COVID, we've had just about 2 years of some people actively doing it and us being out of touch with other organizations. So I've been working on revamping our program and actually making contacts with the groups that do have spots, and we also have a lot of interest in a lot of new spots right now. So a lot of people coming in asking to adopt a spot. With that, I'm just putting this down. I think I'm loud enough. I'll come over here. With that, we used our new logo to design new adopt a spot signs, and so these will be going up when you adopt a spot. So if you get at a spot and you do your cleanups 4 times a year and sign up for 2 years, you get a wonderful adopt a spot sign, and then underneath you'll have a white sign that will have your organization logo or name on it, saying that you've adopted that location. So we're working on that. I think right now we have like 25 spots adopted. We probably have 50 plus available.
Thank you. And those new signs look amazing.
They do.
So thank you so much. And you know, one of the nice things is the folks that do have the spots that have been keeping them clean, that helps. It's a never-ending battle. I work on a couple of the spots that are out there. You know, we all can try to help. Take a bag along when you're walking if you can to pick up little bits of trash. But it's tough because there's always something. A windy day like today will litter the trail again fully with debris, even stuff out of trash cans, people's yards, everything. So it's not just litter. Now, having said that, we can all do better too with litter control. If we give a hoot and don't pollute, just like Woodsy Owl taught us, we're in pretty good shape with that. So, Jenny, thank you. Do you have anything else on that? If someone wants to adopt a spot, is there a form or just contact you directly?
There is a form. There's an agreement form on the city's website that tells you how you fill it out and send it in. Right now, I have pulled our list, like our updated list of spots available, just because I'm trying to work on updating that. So if you have a specific spot in mind, it's almost even better just to email me and be like, I would like to adopt part of Tyler Avenue and tell me the roads between, and we'll make it work. We want to get the signs out there, we want to get people out there. Also, we have supplies, so I didn't include that, but when you adopt a spot, if you want to schedule your adoption, you can contact Public Works, and they'll give you vests and gloves and trash bags. And so then your organization is set and safe on the side of the road with vests on, and then Public Works will come and pick up those trash bags at that location later that day.
Thank you. David, what?
As Jenny mentioned, this is very customizable. If you're not able to get to Tyler Avenue, or it's a little overwhelming, or West Main, or somewhere like that, then we want you to adopt a neighborhood. Whatever's convenient, just let us know so we can push that forward. So great program, and we're really excited about the re-kickoff. I think we've had a lot of interest expressed since the City University Commission has gotten back together. We mentioned it at that meeting last week, and there's some interest by student groups and also doing those adoptions and cleanups for us. So we're excited about all of that. We'll defer to Melissa. She's going to tell you a little bit about CDBG and then some things we got coming up with that. Go ahead, Melissa.
As you
Sorry.
Saturday, we released our 5-year consolidated plan and year 1 of the consolidated plan action plan. So this is pretty much our application to HUD that we have to provide as an entitlement community. This really goes out, this 5-year plan really kind of looks out what we plan on utilizing our funds for: public infrastructure, helping out public service entities that are within the community, beautification, of course, assisting with our Tree City USA designation. So really these each year outlines what we're actually going to do and make sure that we're staying under the 5-year plan and making sure we're meeting those goals that we have set out. That has been released. The public has 30 days to comment, and we will have a public hearing on April 25th for any additional comments. If you have them, please contact me.
Thank you. And I'm just going to brag a little bit on Melissa. She's done such a great job working with the agencies and organizations that have received funding previously. She also opened up the process to allow other groups to come in and find out how to potentially participate in the funding, make proposals, and be a part of that. So again, it's a great way to not only have our organizations that provide so much, like our Bobcat backpacks and other groups like that to be able to provide for the beautification, but also for new groups to be able to start up and make things happen, which then can help grow the services in our community. So thank you. I know that's not easy, and thank you for all that hard work. David, what else?
Last thing we've got, we're kicking off our East Main Street project. We've been talking about that now for a while. Call your attention to the screen, give you an idea. We'll be doing a lot of publicity. This will also be on our website. The first stage is to do traffic calming. It'd basically be a area, Green Island, that would go from Dean's Body Shop down to just west of Bondurant Realty. Turn lanes, entrances to businesses would not be impacted. It's going to really be a nice looking project. We also have, Jenny, if you can go to that next picture Jay sent. This gives you an idea, artist rendition that we put together on what it's going to look like. And that is going to help slow traffic down as it comes into the Main Street area. People come down through there and going through pretty fast, and that's going to be an easy part. Basically, we'll take the asphalt up, curb it, put some topsoil in, and plant some trees.
So, and I want to just chime in on this a little bit. This is important for three big reasons. Number one, it does slow traffic down, actually makes it safer. Number two, the beautification part, it will be much more attractive through there. We already have an imaginary island there where the stripes are in place, so this gives us a physical barrier, but this will give us some green infrastructure through there that will not only absorb some of the carbon from the road, it'll remove some of the heat island effect of that big expanse of asphalt. And then number three, this is part of a look that's going to go through the rest of Main Street. So East Main Street, as we talk about improving it, we're going to be adding more park-style spaces where we can, whether it's in the median or bump outs, additional trees in parking areas and things along that line. So this is just one important component as you're approaching downtown. As we're coming from the university side, from the east to the west, you see that because you have a lot of the trees that are already there. This will provide that secondary piece as you're coming from west to east and going into downtown. We're looking at mostly deciduous trees, we think, for that space. There might be a few evergreen conifers of a small size, but that will keep us from having icing and other issues on that road. Beautification Commission has already been approached about this, and they're working with some recommendations. But this is a wonderful addition. Again, as David said, we're able to use some of our federal monies to help make this possible. This will be a nice enhancement through that area and really be a good improvement as we go into downtown. Anything else?
Yeah, also with the project, Melissa reminded me that 3rd Avenue parking lot, which was a significant, it's important in that you have the residential living in the Main Street area. We use that lot a lot. As you know, it's got different levels to it and hard to traverse. So biggest thing for that is some stormwater management. We're going to be working with our engineers that were selected last week to start helping us with the design. Melissa's going to be working on that with CDBG, and she and Jay are fast advancing that project so we can get it to some design and maybe get some construction underway for that one as well. So a lot of things going to be underway this summer, and you know, it's a couple-year project. It's not going to, as it was on West Main, it's going to take several years to get it where we want it. And then, of course, the main goal, you know, other than being a pleasant place for shoppers, is to attract businesses into the area and encourage that private investment and restoration and renovations of buildings and things.
Well, and you know, talking stormwater management, a perfect example. This will actually help with stormwater management on that section of road because all of that will absorb water, the trees will absorb water, and it won't be so much runoff coming off of there as well. So all of that's an important element. And again, these are the kinds of things that we can do as a community that then add the added benefit for property owners to be able to enhance their properties and do other things. So thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, Jesse, what do you have?
All right, since our last meeting, just to let you guys know, if you haven't been out, I went and toured McCarr to see how it's advancing, and it's coming right along. They have a few little hiccups, as most projects are right now, but just in the couple of months since I've been out there, it's 120% different. You can actually see a school opposed to just the skeletal school, but if you get a chance, I'd get back out there. A lot of progress. I had several Zoom classes or meetings with several RU students with political science. I'm sure you guys probably had a few of those, and that was a lot of fun. So whomever in the political science department that's sending those students, I really enjoy the opportunity to speak with them. I think I always learn as much from them, if not more. So I kind of feel like it's giver's gain on that one. I had promised you guys to give you some updates with the Firehouse. I'm going to breeze through these, and I want to say before I go through them that some of these projects were started well before COVID. COVID slowed us up a little bit, and what has transpired here has been, as you know, I'm meeting with every shift of the Firehouse. I'm also meeting with the chief. I meet with David. David and the chief meet. So there's a lot of collaboration going into this, and I'm going to breeze through it. But just to give you a gist, we made a commitment to make sure that we were making progress, and I assure you we're working very hard to do that. So some of the updates. We increased the staff on shift from 7 to 9. We've reviewed holiday work shifts. There was some repetition. The modular living unit has been upgraded, which has made room for a training room, which was much needed. We now have a captain position on the EMS side. There are classes for the paramedics that are quite lengthy, and we've been evaluating the bonus structure of that, so there should be some improvement there. There was some slight drainage issues within the building. As you know, there's a new boat. We're making sure that there's someone now on all shifts that will be trained. We've done salary evaluations to eliminate any salary compression issues. We've ordered 4 wet dry suits. We've also, as you know, conducted the anonymous survey, and I hope to do that again within a couple of months after we've had an opportunity to complete some of the things we've promised. Equipment repair and shop prioritization with help from David. The Wi-Fi is still iffy, but we're working on that. All shifts would like to see that improved. The communications tower, I know both chiefs have mentioned their concern about that, and that is going to be addressed. There are a bunch of side jobs at the Firehouse, and we wanted to get a list to identify those, and some are paid, some are not paid, so we do now have a list of what all the side jobs are and who's assigned to those. We are working on dress uniforms through the volunteers. I've spoke with the chief about reporting out and letting council know about every 3 months. I'd like to see him on rotation just to keep us posted as to what's going on, because there's a lot moving there as well. Let's see. We have several new committees, and a few of those are, we have a committee for the standard operating procedures, turnout gear, ambulance, EMS, which is separate, as well as fire truck committee. So that is where we are. There's some other small things moving, and we are still working on a list of wants, but I just wanted to make sure that council knows that, you know, I made a commitment to dig my heels in and to work, and I have great partners. All the shifts are helping the chief. David, we're all on the same sheet of music, and hopefully you'll see more progress ahead.
Thank you. And thank you, Chief. Is he still here? I think he may have taken off, but thank you. We're so appreciative of that, and yeah, I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes with some of that investment. Forrest, what do you have?
I think I'm good to go tonight.
Okay. Dick, what do you have?
I just had two things. This morning, we had a reception for the top candidate for the project manager for Virginia First and Commerce Park. I was very impressed. I won't give his name. It is a man. But I will say that I was very impressed. He is a former Marine, serving in both Afghanistan and Iraq, and did some really good work there. He was also, another big thing is he was an intern here for the city of Radford at an earlier time. He has
Don't reveal too much.
yeah, and he just was very impressive, and I think he'll get my vote. The other thing was our joint commission met, and I know a lot of you were there, David, Melissa, and
Kim joined, yeah.
Kim joined us, yes. And we had a very good attendance. I think there was only one person that couldn't make it, and that person didn't make it for a good reason. He had a grandchild the day before. So he was tied up with a new grandchild. I'll give him that. Okay, so, but we had, I think, a good start, and David kicked it off with a really good opening summary of where we were, and we heard a lot of good things from our other members here that were there, and I think we're off to.
Our police chief was also.
Oh, yes, he's gone.
Nope, he's
He's
back
right
there.
Oh, he's back there?
He's behind the pole, you can't see him.
Oh, there he is. I couldn't see him. Yeah, okay. Yes, he was there. And all of you made really good statements. And I think we're getting some excitement going with the students too. So I think that's good because we've got a lot of things we want to get done between the city and university. And especially now that we're putting all this work into this project, the East Main Street project, we really want to bring those students into the city and more involved with the city, and both as advocates and as customers and as employees. So things are going well, I thought. Thank you.
Is that everything?
Yeah.
Well, I have to say thank you to Dr. Harshberger for serving as the liaison, the co-chair of the Joint Commission on University and City Relationships. That's an important committee, commission that has not been able to meet as much during the pandemic, and we're so appreciative of the work that group is doing. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more activity coming out with that. I do want to say thank you to Forrest for serving on the Recreation Commission, and there's exciting things happening within recreation. There's a lot of cleanup, freshen up at our recreation center. That facility is 20 years old, and we are working to try to make it feel as fresh and new as it was the day it opened, improve some challenged areas that we have, but also to look at spaces to see how we're serving the community, to try to make sure that we have the latest in equipment, activity needs, things along that line. And so I'm very appreciative of David and Ken Goodyear, the Rec Commission, and everyone for taking time to look at that. We're looking at our parks and our riverway and working to make improvements all along there, enhancing some of our spaces in our parks, including some additional investment in some playground equipment, accessible playground equipment. Dobbins Park, which is located right behind Fred Weigel School, the school administration building, is going to be receiving some upgrades when the stuff gets here. That's the thing we're waiting for, is supply chain issues. But that is a significant part of that neighborhood, and I think that's going to really enhance that space. We were finally able to move the recyclables and the drop center away from that space, so this will be a cleaner, fresher, more well-used area. It already is very well used, but even more so in the future. I just want to talk a little bit about what staff has been doing and what council's priorities have been. Thank you. I know budget season is crazy. Even though we're busy with budget season, it doesn't mean we let up on the other things, and there have been so many things happening. We really have made record investments with our public safety in terms of equipment and space, working with fire and EMS to try to meet their needs. Even though we can't build a whole new fire station right now, we've made a lot of improvements that will hopefully help make those conditions better. We are working very closely with all those involved to try to make sure that there isn't a need that can't at least be addressed in some way, shape, or form. Continuing to invest in education in Radford. We've got that record investment at McCarg Elementary, and we're so excited to see that school get rocking and rolling and go from there. And I have to brag a little bit on the Radford City Schools. We had multiple state champions over the weekend with our forensics team. Incredible work. We also had a gymnast who had a state championship as well. We've had so many state champions. I think we're going to have to expand those signs as you come in the city because there's not room for all the accolades. So that's a good problem to have. One of the things I always note with this is while Radford does compete with schools that are similar in size, we're typically the smallest in the room when we are in competition for most things. But these kids do amazing work. Their faculty, their teachers help them as mentors and help them along the way. And we cannot say thank you enough. This shows what a great system we have, and we are so appreciative of the people who participate. So thank you. Congratulations to our state champions. We're really excited. I think at the end of the year, we need to have a great big gathering and recognize each of our teams who either won a regional or state championship, all those folks who came in, athletic, academic, band, music, chorus, all of it. It's just been amazing. I mean, it truly is mind-boggling, the work that they've done. Back to talking a little bit about the investment. You're seeing the investment in East Main Street. We made the investment in West Main Street. We recognize that economic development is incredibly important for our city, and I think that has been a priority for us for the last 4 years as we've tried to make sure things have happened in the right way. I don't think we have left any stone unturned to try to make life better in Radford. We haven't been 100% successful on everything, and certainly COVID presented us with some challenges. But just this past few weeks, as the 2-year anniversary of so many of the things we started going through have come up, I was reminded how Radford citizens have stepped up. We did not lose all of our businesses, which we were very afraid of in March of 2020. We thought this may be it. The sidewalks may get rolled up and there may not be much left. Citizens stepped up, businesses stepped up. We worked as a city to make sure we could provide loans and support and all the efforts that were needed to try to help. Public safety and public health stepped up. Everybody really did what they could to keep people as whole as possible. We used the resources we had to help people pay their bills where we could. Electric bills, rent, PPE, things that people needed. And so I'm impressed that we've made it through the wilderness in so many ways. Now, we've got a lot of challenges, and I'm going to brag on David and the team that's working on the budget. I hope you will come out Wednesday. We're going to stream this, but come out and hear what we have for the budget. It's not easy. We've been through tough times, and the budget is bigger than ever, but the needs are greater than ever. And so we're working through all of that. And I have to say thank you, because I know that's not an easy job to balance all these things, and we're working on all this. We're setting the stage for the future. We're doing the things that we can in this community to try to make things happen. Bill, thank you for your comments earlier this evening. Really appreciate that it's noted. This is a team effort, and it starts with every citizen here in the city of Radford, and we are a conduit for that to try to make things happen. So we say thank you, and I won't keep talking too much longer. So I do want to remind folks, with Environmental Improvement Month, Environmental Awareness Month, please clean up, freshen up, plant trees where you can. April the 9th, we are working to try to have a cleanup day. Details aren't finalized on that, but at our American Legion building to get that property in good shape, particularly as we head into the summertime where Memorial Day and 4th of July and all the celebratory days that we have, working with that. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Good night.
Aye. Yeah, well, next time you can mention the community garden, because they say we might have food shortages in this country.
That's true. We might need it. We might all be growing tomatoes.